All right, let's move on. So we get to the meat of the thing. Now we're going to talk about guns. All right. Something kind of interesting and fun. I think we were talking at break. The seminar I went to, a long seminar, nobody wanted to talk about the guns from the teaching. It's a touchy subject. As Christians, it's a matter of faith, whether or not you have a gun. But I would assume that you saw our class topics, that you probably got that issue settled in your mind, or you probably wouldn't be here today. So I'm going to sort of review right quick something we were talking about at break. But I settled this issue in my mind years and years ago as a young Christian, because as a Texan, guns were part of my life. And so I reviewed the scriptures, and the one that comes to mind most often is in the garden. Jesus, the disciples. Guys were wearing swords. One of the scriptures recommends those that didn't have a sword to go get one. So there was some issue there, but the disciples were wearing swords. You can't deny that. So they've been traveling with Jesus for a long time by then. Evidently, he was not an anti-sword person, or they would not have been traveling with swords. Evidently, they knew they could be used on humans because an ear got cut off. So that tells me that they were business swords, so to speak. So anyway, in my mind, I'm settled with that. And when people, through the years, I've been attacked, or I've discussed that pretty much with different people, and you ask them things like, well, you depend completely on God for your protection. Well, do you get your teeth cleaned? Do you have checkups? Do you wear seat belts? On and on and on. So it's up to the individual. But today, we're going to go into a little bit about, see the word suggested. These are my suggestions. And guns are just like if you ask 3 different guys what they recommended the best pickup was, you might get a Dodge Ram, a Chevrolet, a Ford, or a Nissan Leaf, or whatever. So it's really up for discussion. There's some discussion. So again, what I try to do is use a balance between expense and reality, and doing nothing and doing too much and waiting. So in the firearm area, I have 3 suggested types, and I've talked about this This is not something I've come up with over the last 2 weeks or 2 years or 2 days. This is accumulation of probably 40 or so years of my experience. This is my suggestions. If you already have firearms, I'm not suggesting that you go out and buy these. I'm suggesting you use what you've got to do the purposes that these are for. So first of all, I'm going to assume that we're starting really basic here, okay? The difference between a shotgun and a rifle or a pistol, okay? A shotgun, and to be honest, I was hesitant to even bring a shotgun shell. You know, we're in a public place, so anyway, take my word for it. Let me draw it for you. Look. We got time. Let's do this. All right, you take a shotgun shell. It looks like that. This is where the powder is. Okay, then I may have this backward, but here, there's some other stuff called wadding in here. But anyway, the shotgun shell is full of different little BBs, or shot. Okay? Those can be different size little BBs. The larger the number, the smaller the BBs. Go figure. I don't know why they did it that way. But if you have number 8s, you have more BBs than you do if you have number 4s. Does that make sense? can get this confused. You can get a slug, you can get a shotgun shell that just has one great big old BB in it, but let's ignore that. So we're just going to call it a shotgun. So what these are for then, when that shell is in the chamber and it's fired, the end of the shell, this explodes, the end of the shell opens up, and all of these little BBs take off rapidly. And that's why they're used to hunt birds, to shoot doves and quail for their distance. And a shotgun then is opposed to a single bullet cartridge. A single bullet cartridge then in a rifle or a handgun shoots one projectile. Now, you get different types of projectiles, but it shoots this one projectile. Okay? So they are different. There are some guns that you can do, but we don't want to be confused. Okay? So when I'm talking over here about a shotgun, we're talking about one that shoots this. When I'm talking about a handgun, or down here with a semi-automatic rifle, I'm talking about a single projectile. Now you think, y'all may have already all known that. Most of you guys I'm sure did. But there's some people that don't. About a month ago, I went to, which is a good story, I went to an estate sale near my house. I just saw the sign. I went to one lady that wanted to go to Lowe's and went to an estate sale and bought a bunch of stuff. Later in the day, I went the other way from her house to go to Kyle, and I saw an estate sale sign, and I went up, and there were two ladies having an estate/garage sale. And I bought some of these kind of goodies from them. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they had something laying there that reminded me of a gun. I don't know if it was a box of shells or what. So I said to you ladies, they said they were selling the estate of their mom. I said, do you ladies have any guns you want to sell? It opened up a whole conversation. These ladies were within about 2 miles of our house up on a hill. And they told me that they'd been shooting at coyotes with a .22 rifle. And I said, ladies, you've been shooting a .22 rifle from this hill? Oh, yeah. I said, we're standing there and I can see a barn and a house. I said, do you realize that y'all can kill somebody down there with a .22 rifle? Those ladies were shooting a single projectile .22 rifle in their yard up there at coyotes, and not hitting them, by the way. They hadn't hit one yet. And they were just horrified when I told them that they could kill an animal or a dog or a human from that hill that their .22 rifle would shoot. You know. So that's an example of how much lack of knowledge is. So in our discussion, on the whole, they had a shotgun. Now I wanted to buy the shotgun. I wanted it, but I said, wait a minute, ladies, here, you need to quit this and use this. What does that shoot? They said. I explained this to them. That they'd be shooting little BBs, not so far, they're shooting one big bullet a mile. So I wrote down for them on a piece of paper, and they had sent them to Walmart to get them some ammunition for this. So they would, and I said, and you hit your cow. You hit your cow, and you won't kill him. I told him to get like number 8 bird shot. They'll sting him real good, maybe wound him a little bit, unless it's up close. But does that illustrate the difference in the two? And that was right there by the house, just recently. So, we need different type things to do different objectives. And there's a place for all of these in our arsenal. But that's basically the situation. And this shotgun type thing at close range is a very, very effective weapon, even with birdshot. You've heard the phrase riot gun used by the police. Since the beginning of almost modern times, the police carry pump shotguns a lot of times, and they carry them for a reason. They do a lot of damage to a lot of area very quickly. So that's the basics of the shotgun pistol thing. I mean, the shotgun versus the pistol rifle projectile. Okay, so then back over here to our deal, our suggested 3 kinds of firearms. I've done these in the order. If you just have to get one, I would suggest the top, that you get some sort of a small, I don't mean small caliber, I mean small size of a handgun. Now, the reason for that is that is the most versatile of the ones that listed for protection. You could take it with you. You can get to it quickly. You can do quite a bit of damage with it, and it would be very effective. But the size of it makes it very versatile. Okay, so what I would suggest for your number one gun is a small caliber. I mean a fairly large caliber, small handgun. 38 Special is a very common size of a cartridge that was used for years and years. It was the sidearm of the police. For years and years, they carried a 38 Special. And the ammunition is fairly available up until the last few weeks with the big rush on. But I think you will find that that's a good all-around cartridge. Now, if you already have some other caliber, so you've got a 380 or a 32 caliber pistol or something that you already have, and you don't particularly have the finances to go out and buy a new gun or another gun, then I would go with what I've got. I've been ammunition for you, make sure it works right, get familiar with it, you know how to use it. But so there's a great debate, not only about the caliber, but as long as it's fairly large, preferably not, say, a 38 Special or larger, 9mm, 380, all of them are in that same range. But one of the most common calibers is 38 Special, and there's a lot of those around. And the next word, then, the type of gun is always up for discussion. But I think that a revolver, and there comes the word 6-gun that we've used for our caliber class. And here's my example. A revolver revolves. It has a cylinder in it that revolves and turns as you pull the trigger. This one turns sometimes. So that if you have a double action revolver, not a single action, a double action revolver, then you can have that gun loaded. Most guns, the cylinder swings out to the side. You load it, you put it back into the gun. It has no safety. It has no requirements other than shoot it, pull the trigger until it quits firing. Throw the gun at them and run. That's all you can do, because you're not going to have time to reload. But you got 5 or 6 shots. Most of them have 5. The old ones have 6 shooters. But does that make sense to you? You're in a panic. You hear someone at the door. You grab the gun. And this is what I tell my family. You pull the trigger until it stops you. That's all you got to do. Point it in the right direction and pull the trigger. There's no safety. There's no, oh my gosh, which one of these buttons is the safety? This is the magazine. This is the slide. You have a revolver. You pull the trigger through the cycle that pulls it back and shoots it. That's all there is to it. That's why I recommend a revolver. The police carry them for years and years and years and years and years. And there were some automatics available to them. Now they carry automatics mostly and different things. But I'm just, in my opinion, the simplicity of the revolver makes it the best choice if you're going to start from scratch. If you've already got something, then that's a different animal. And you don't want to shoot it. Pass it around.
22?
I'm sorry?
Is that a 22?
Yeah, that's one of Tyler's guns that I found in the drawer. But I'm trying to stay really safe and not bring anything controversial. Now, this one looks real. This is was a blank starter pistol. But it's good enough to show you it has a safety on the side. See? And so, an automatic, this is a replica of an automatic. It would have a magazine that slides in the bottom. You would have to pull it back and throw one up in the barrel to have it ready to go. Or if you left one up in the barrel, you would keep it on safety. And then the problem is, unless you're really familiar with the gun, and even as familiar as I am with guns, under a panic situation, have you ever been in a panic situation where you thought someone was about to hurt you? I've done that a couple times. I'm not real calm at that point. And I'm not sure that I would know how to get the gun off safety, blah, 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 make sure that it was in the right position and going on. So, a lot of people recommend the semi-automatic handguns. I recommend the plain double-action revolver in a 38 special. And now Doug's torn up my gun.